Oh, this was Sadia Khan. I don't. This is body count here. Let me.
One of the things I've been thinking about is almost like historical jealousy, and this is where the body count conversation comes in. What have you come to believe about how much body count matters, and then how can people deal with historical jealousy better?
Well, the thing is, it's now become a big topic of debate, and men are like, oh, body count, body count, body count. It's a big deal. Here's what I really say about body count. The testament of your body count is more your rejection rate than how many people you slept with. Now, if you are, let's take for somebody like you, for example, who's got a big name on social media, looks great, access to loads of women through the nightclub. Now, if your body count is, let's say if it's 10, but you've had hundreds of girls throwing themselves at you, yours is actually still low. Whereas if another guy who has no access to women, but finally gets one or two girls to sleep with him, on paper it might be less, but his rejection rate is so low. And now instead of looking at how many people sleep with, look at their rejection rate. Now if a girl has slept with 5 men or 10 men, but only 5 or 10 men have tried to approach her, that means every man that tries gets access. But if she's a really attractive woman, she might have higher, but her rejection rate is higher. So really look at how many people your partner is rejecting rather than just their body count, because on paper a really unattractive man who has nothing going for him, his body count's going to be low. Doesn't mean he's a decent man. It's just that he didn't have the opportunity. Similarly, women that are not that nice to be around, not that kind, not that pretty, not that attractive, hers is going to be low. Doesn't mean she's virtuous. It's just that she didn't have access. It's the ones that have access but choose to be selective. That's what you should be looking at, is their selectivity.
Problem is, you can't ask them the number, like how many rejections have you done in.
Yeah, I was going to say that there's a little bit of logistic problem in that.
Yeah, bitches lie.
Yeah, bitches lie. Yeah, you're not gonna get anything. Now, the reason I brought that up is because, first of all, Sadia Khan is not fucking a legitimate fucking psychologist. Let me just throw that out
right here. Yeah, who is she?
That's Sadia Khan.
Okay.
She's all over the place right now. People like still like her. Like she has Reddit page after Reddit page about like questioning her credentials, which she basically has none. But people will say, well, she's spitting facts anyway, she's talking truth. I'm like, okay, well then let's take this at face value here. I understand what she's saying when it comes to guys, but when it comes to women, that's a different story. So like Mike brought this up. We were on the Danza project out in Fort Lauderdale last week. And the topic came up about if you've got I think he put it this way: if you got a guy who is like a dude who is a Leonardo DiCaprio, you got Leonardo DiCaprio he can fuck X amount of girls, and you've got a guy who it was Harvey Specter from Suits. Do you ever see Suits? Yeah. Harvey Specter's like this really high powered lawyer. He makes a lot of money, good looking guy, and let's say his body count is 10, and then you got Larry the Cable Guy. Okay, who doesn't make a lot of money. He lives in the Midwest somewhere, and his body count is also 10. Okay, Harvey Specter has a much easier time fucking 10 women than Larry the Cable Guy has in fucking 10 women, but they both have the same body count. Okay, who has the better skills, Larry the Cable Guy or Harvey Specter? And of course the debate is like, well, it's Larry the Cable Guy, because for him to get those chicks means he had to go through way more rejections to get to those 10, whereas Harvey Specter probably, like, girls just fucking throw themselves at him, right?
Yep.
So like measuring, like comparing apples and oranges to oranges, again, it comes down to like, what is a high value guy? What is a high value man? High value man is the guy that other men want to be and other women want to fuck. That is basically it. Simple, okay. Yeah. Anything else, you're adding context to. So that guy could be, Andrew Tate draped across a fucking Lamborghini in Miami and going to yacht parties, and he's a high value guy. Or it can be the guy in the fishing village in Chile. Okay, who happens to have the only truck in the village. And that guy is the fucking alpha male. Right? He's the guy that's doing it. So what's the context after that? And what did that guy have to go through to become that high value guy? Because we're going to talk about body count. We're going to talk about guys' body count. We're going to talk about women's body count. You also have to take into effect what the context is and how they got to that. So when the girls are on whatever podcast and they're saying, "Oh, I have a body count. I'm an OnlyFans girl," or I used to be Christian and now I'm not Christian anymore, and my body count is 9, and tomorrow it's going to be 16. Right? What is the context of her getting that body, or getting that body count? Now, people will make, like, women love this because it becomes a victim mentality. They want to say, well, I was victimized, that's why I have 50 bodies.
Yeah, they use it for coping. I think, yeah, women just sleep with a bunch of dudes to cope with, heartbreak, alpha widow, any trauma, no dad, usually no dad. Yeah. Fucking no father figure, parents divorced, whatever. They use that to cope, and that's just what I've seen. Yeah.
I was gonna say the other part of this is what was it? Oh, I know what it was. So I mean, getting back to what Jeffrey Miller was saying, says red pill guys chase the accused of sexual fitness. They might have sex with apparently fertile young women who are on contraception and not having babies. And this, by the way, is like throwing red meat to the trad cons at this point. Okay, they're not having babies. Ooh, that's a reference to we need to get the fertility rate up. From a Darwinian point of view, what these guys are doing is no different from sitting down and watching porn. Okay. So what that means in this respect, I've answered this question God knows how many times, but there's a I forget what it is. Royce did this one essay about this back in the day, and it's about cads outbreeding dads. And so or dads outbreeding cads is what I should say. So what it comes down to is, once again, going back to the example that the girl was giving us about the guys who are going to get it, the guys who are going to maybe they'll get it, and then the guys who are never going to get it. The idea is this: is like when you're saying that the only metric of success is reproduction. The only reason you should be fucking in the first place is so you can have babies, right? The idea is that the guys who are married are having more sex than the guys who are single. Well, yeah, that statistically that's always going to be true because you got the 80-20 rule involved. But to say that the metric of success is you've got to get married and you've got to have kids is singular to that mindset, right? So when I'm fighting against guys who are saying like, oh well, let's talk about the dual mating strategy versus mate switching versus whatever else they're pulling out of their ass at this time. My question is always this: is we can't measure a sexual strategy based on marriage, based on long-term relationships, based on pair bonding, if you want to call it that, right? You can't, because it has to be what comes up to that pair bonding in the first place. So what happened? What made that guy arousing and attractive, and for that woman to want to like either break her rules and fuck him, or to say, okay, he's got the qualities that I want in a long-term partner? How do we get to that point in the first place? And that, I think, should be the main focus, especially coming from guys who are evolutionary psychologists who should fucking know better. Now, I'm just Rollo Tomasi, right? I don't have a degree in fucking evolutionary psychology, but I'm asking questions and connecting dots that these guys are uncomfortable asking. Why are we basing our metrics on pair bonding? Why are we not saying, why is this girl sleeping with this guy? Why is that not the basis of everything? So instead, we're saying, well, we're going to qualify it. We're going to qualify it with creating a long-term relationship and having babies, right? Yeah. So when we do that, you've got the cads versus the dads, the guys who are the Justin Wallers, the guys who are the players who actually are the few and far between who can enjoy promiscuity. When people say, oh, hookup culture, there is no fucking hookup culture. Yeah. There's only hookup culture for girls, for women who want to participate in it, and guys like Justin Waller, I don't want to run with the flag, like Jason Momoa, like the guys who are the elites who are of the mindset to want to participate in hookup culture and be a player and be fuck boys. The very few handful of those guys, and any woman who chooses to participate in that. We really need to clarify that, especially when we're discussing body count. Because if a woman has a high body count, odds are, and this is just from statistically speaking, they're sleeping with older guys, or they're sleeping with guys who are the guys that they're fuck boys, who have access to all these guys or all these women. So when we're talking about cads versus dads, the cope is this: dads are outbreeding cads. Okay. They're the ones that are actually creating the next generation. But the problem is like from a like she was saying, from a Darwinian perspective, the cads are actually outperforming and out fucking and out banging the dads. Because by the time dad gets to be a dad, girl has already fucked X amount of cads, and might be one of those cads might be an alpha widow for her that she's still pining over. Probably, so now you're dealing with the alpha widow side of things. But guess what? Just because of contraception and just because of the sexual dynamics of this new global sexual marketplace, that guy who has access to all those to your new wife, your wife back in the day, you might have a baby with her, and that might seem like success to you. But you know who licked the ice cream before you got the carton? Is those guys. Not saying every woman will, but any woman can.
Yep.
So when we're talking about cads versus dads, or we want to make you want to say that pornography is like, or these guys saying go and have sex with the mistaken idea that the red pill is telling guys to go be promiscuous is the same as like porn, because there's no reproduction happening because of contraception, then making that it's a stupid comparison, because the guys who are going to be fucking are still going to be fucking either way.
Yep.
They would be the ones fathering all the children were it not for contraception. They would be the ones that women would choose to reproduce with if it weren't for contraception.
Yep.
So those guys are still sexually successful in the virtual sense. But the thing is the guys who are actually the dads who are actually doing the breeding and having the kids, those guys are the ones who are getting fucked over, because they're the ones who are the leftovers. They're the ones who the women will settle for. Whereas, again, taking away contraception, it would have been the guys who are the cads.
Interesting. Okay.